So now we have groups of four, and they actually kind of go beyond the barring of the 4/16 note groups, which is again interesting. So this is going to be a T here with also articulation, and silence to separate the leap. Toot, toot, doo, doo, toot, toot, doo, doo, toot, toot, doo, doo, toot, toot, doo, doo, toot. So what's beneficial is that the articulation silence really helps you also to prepare for the leap. And I'm guessing those are the places that people generally stumble on the most, or that's easiest to get into trouble. Yeah, so just practicing it really slowly, really internalizing it, and then taking up the speed bit by bit. And again, if that's going too fast, you can also practice with different varying the rhythm, stopping on certain notes just to make sure you really get the coordination. And eventually, and so forth. Yeah, so that's how it would sound kind of in practice. And this is not over. So we have here, this here, it gets kind of complicated, but that's the fun, okay? Do you see it as fun? The idea is still exactly the same. So see when you're studying this, if you can really kind of untangle the notes, so to speak, and find some kind of order and structure. And again, they're usually going to be delineated by leaps. So if you take a moment and do that, really mark it in with your pencil, figure out where the breaks, where the groups are, and ultimately you'll end up perhaps something like this. And notice that even sometimes they're going to be subgroups. So for example, this is kind of one unit, but they're also made up of two little units. Yeah. And the same thing here as well. And it's just also it's really helpful for us to really get into the music, really go beyond the notes and really discover, wow, there are all these little details and little structures and little shapes that you don't just see this as kind of massive notes that they all seem to be equally important, because that's how they look like on the page, right? They're all printed with the same size, but they're actually not. And by doing the alternating tongue strokes, by using the articulation silence to clip certain notes and to separate, clipping from behind and starting properly, that will help you create all those shapes and little forms. So this is going to sound something like this. I'll do it one time slow. And with some practice, so even I have to practice, okay? But that just gives you kind of an idea of eventually how's that going to sound like. And I also want to say, with this kind of thing, it also gives us a hint of eventually in terms of tempo, because we actually don't want to rush through all these notes. We want people to hear that this is not just it's not that you want people to hear how difficult it is, but you actually want to show them hey, look, there are all these interesting, little shapes, and there's a pattern, and this is something, and then it changes to something else, how all the notes and its patterns change and evolve. That's something fascinating. And I do believe the composers, they wrote that also with that in mind. So that will also give you some indication of tempo. You don't want to rush through and play too fast, and you want to pick a tempo that will be able to accommodate, to show off those intricacies. Okay? Any questions?